I was going to make a fill video here, but somebody decided to start cutting grass, so I hope you don't hear the sound, otherwise I'll have to make this video again. So I was thinking, guys, because today is such a beautiful weather, we're in 24th of September, so it's already autumn, and the weather was so nice, and I got thinking, I was like, oh my God, I wish I had a girlfriend I could just call and ask her we could go out, have a drink or something, you know. And I just realized there's nobody I can call. First of all, at my neighbor, I'm so lucky to have I live in Denmark, if you don't know, but I have a neighbor also who comes from Uganda. How nice is that? I think even no matter which country you are, if you're foreign and then you have somebody from your own country being your neighbor, that's amazing. And she works and I work, and I think the life here in Europe doesn't leave so much space to be able to do things like that. I think most developed countries, people are working, you know. And I think in Uganda it was possible, like after work you can say, oh, let us meet for a drink or things like that, because in Uganda most people have a nanny at home, most people have somebody who is taking care of their home, most people have somebody helping out in the home, so they don't have to do these things. But here in Europe, like in Denmark, you do everything, you know, like here we cut our grass, we cook ourselves, we pick up the kids ourselves. Very few people have nannies to do that, to pick the kids up, so we are doing everything ourselves. So that leaves so little space to see each other, and you end up not even like my neighbor. Sometimes we might even go 2 months, guys, 2 months. I mean, I can see her house from here. I could even talk. You saw when I was coming from there, I said hello to the daughter. I could talk from her while standing out there. But there can go like 2 months without us talking together, because that's how life it is in Europe. And I think people need to think about that before they come to Europe, because it can actually get so lonely. And I think the only reason it doesn't get lonely for me so much because I have so many hobbies. But sometimes I get that feeling of wanting to be with somebody, a friend, you know. But I'm also kind of a loner, but I don't feel lonely. I like my space, so that helps also. I'm not that kind of person who needs to be around people all the time, so that helps. But sometimes I feel like I have that need, and it doesn't also help, like, because I moved when I came to Denmark. This is not the town I used to live in. I used to live in another town 3 hours away from here. Like, that's where my kids live and their dad, and so I had made some friendships there, and that's 3.5 hours away. So those friendships, I mean, we don't see each other. Like, we like each other's pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and you know, sometimes we write, but I don't have those friends anymore. And that's also like a big sacrifice, you know, when you sacrifice to move for somebody, especially in a country like in a continent like Europe. That can be really, really a big sacrifice, because it's difficult to make friends here. It's difficult to make friends in Denmark. So when you have made those kind of friends and then you move, then it's so hard to make friends again. And I think I'm also very picky, especially I think when we get older, we are very, very picky who we want to bring into our lives. So that makes it even harder, you know. When you are at my age, I'm 50 years old, it's going to even be harder to make friends. I have a feeling people here in Denmark, they have this attitude of like, I already have my friends from high school, I don't need any more new friends, you know. So when we get older, we are very picky. We don't want nonsense. We don't want fake friends. We sometimes even lose the friends we had when we were younger. I have let some people go, because I just realized like some of these friendships were one way, you know. And I think like in my 30s, I was still hanging on to these people. And as I've gotten older, I've realized like this was not a good friendship. This was a one-way friendship. Oh, guys, the sun is back and I hope it's okay. You can still see me. And as I've gotten older, I realized this some of these friendships were like a one-way friendship. I have some people I thought were my best friends, and they have done things I've just thought, what are they doing? Why are they doing this, you know? And like I have a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who my daughter invited for a wedding, They did not even bother to answer back, to reply to her that they were not coming. How am I supposed to be friends with a person like that, I think I've been forgiving a lot of this kind of behaviors, but I think, as I said, when we age, we don't want this kind of behavior. So I was thinking, guys, how if you are married to somebody, and you, like, maybe if you are in the States and you have moved from one state to another, and I know like USA is very big, so God the Son, I know like USA is very big, so sometimes you like one state can be like maybe 3-4 hours away from where you are. I wonder if I should move, guys. I think I'm going to move. The sun is too much here. Let's move to another area. So guys, I think also it's a kind of a challenge. I think also it depends like where you are living, I think sometimes I always think like if you're living in the city, it makes life easier. But I don't think so, because when you live in these apartments, when do you ever meet people unless they have get-togethers? They do, here in Europe. So I think actually living in a house maybe makes it easier, but because we live in outskirts, and sometimes I miss the city. Yeah, I get conflicted because I don't like being in noisy places, like living in the city, but also I miss being in the city because at least I could go out and see people. That's enough for me. I don't have to talk to people. Just walking around and seeing other human beings, that's kind of enough for me. So I'm conflicted because I love the quietness right now. I love sitting here and all the silence, and but sometimes I do miss the city. I think especially in the winter time, I miss being able to go and walk because it gets really dark here during the winter time, like 3-4 it's already dark, and then I miss that if I was in the city I could just walk around, because I used to live in the city before I met Jan. Then I could just walk around even if it's in the evening, but I don't think it makes, I don't know, maybe it makes life easier to meet people because you're out and about, and then if you meet people who are outgoing, and then you can say hi, because I notice also some Africans, they seem not to want to communicate. They seem to not to want to do anything with other Africans, I guess, or maybe people they don't know. I think I'm a little bit like that also. I'm very careful with the people I'm letting into my life, but when I see an African woman, and especially if they give me that warm feeling, and I smile to them, but sometimes you smile at people and they don't want to smile back to you. So even the Africans who have moved here, they have almost become like, I think the Danish people or the European people, they also just want to mind their business. So that makes actually making friends very difficult. And and I think I have met like through my neighbor. She has a big and she knows a lot of people, and even there when people come, it seems like Africans who have moved to Europe or Denmark, they are careful, they're careful like who they are letting in their lives. Everybody seems to be careful, like we have adopted to this behavior of being careful and not being free when it comes to making friendship. But I think people are toxic these days, people are very toxic these days, and I don't know what happened. Like people are very careful. I'm careful too, like who are let into my life. I think getting older, you're gonna have few friends, but the few friends you have are going to be very meaningful friends. And I think, like they say, it's better to have one friend than to have many friends who are like fake. And I think I'm right there. Like I don't want a friend like who thinks. I don't want friends who make the friendship be like a one-way thing. For example, I have had friends who are like, you visit them many times and then they never come visit you, because they live in the city and it's inconvenience for them to come visit you, like always you have to go and visit them. Friends, like every time you are the one, if maybe you get a chance to talk to each other, it ends up like you have to listen to them. They never listen to you, like you never get a chance to say anything. Then they talk about themselves all the time. So I think when you get older, you start removing yourself. And I think many people in my age, they don't tell the people like, oh, I'm stopping to be friends with you. Slowly remove themselves from the situation without anything. And I also feel like if somebody remove themselves, if you have a friend and then you feel like they're removing themselves from the situation, I think you should ask. Because I think when somebody doesn't ask, then I think either they know what they're doing was wrong, or they are so self-occupied they don't even reflect to think, then they're like, oh well, so I think for me, moving to Denmark, moving again out here to be with Jan, and because of my age, it's very, very hard I don't have so many friends. I have, what do they call? I know people. I don't have like friends like that. Yes, I don't want to say I don't have friends. I would like to consider some people my friends, but is it important for us to have those best friends? This word best friend, what does it mean? I think maybe we get so much, we put so much focus on the word best friends, and maybe it's not important, like having somebody like my neighbor here, and when she bakes something nice, she sends the kids over, or she brings for me. I'm invited to all her get-togethers, and we invite them here, and I think that should be friendship enough. I don't think we should be so focusing on this best friend. And I envy people who have somebody who they say, this is my ride and die, this is my best friend, she will go miles and miles for me, and I think some of us, we don't have that. Maybe some of us, we had it when we were younger and it's gone. But I think we should not focus so much on that. Maybe we should focus on thinking, okay, I have this person. Now I arranged with my neighbor. We're going to go for a walk on Friday because she's a nurse like me, so she has some days she's off, and I have some days I'm off, and we have decided we're going to go for a walk. So we go for a walk. It takes us like an hour and a half, and then we chat and all that, and that should be good enough. I should not be sitting here focusing so much, I don't have a best friend and this and that, I had a best friend, I had somebody I thought was my best friend, and I had to let them go. I think we should focus on the relationship we have, even if it's one. Let's focus on the good relationships we have instead of focusing on how many relationships we have. So yeah, I think that was it, guys. I just got that weird feeling like I'm sitting here, the weather is so nice. I thought, oh wow, if I had a friend, but what kind of friend I could have? Maybe the friend I could have is the same age as mine. They're probably at work, they wouldn't be able to do that, So I think I've been telling myself to start enjoying my own. I do enjoy my own company, but I mean going like out, because I'm I'm an introvert person, believe me or not. So I should be able to maybe to go out in town and do things by myself. We need to stop this stigma, like it's a bad thing to not have, because I think sometimes it can feel very strange when you hear people saying, oh, I have this friend, I have 5 friends, I have this, and you're like, oh, maybe I don't have any of these friends, and you might think like, am I weird or something? We should stop feeling weird about it. Because it's actually much more normal than people think. It's much more normal than people think. Because imagine a lot of people do move, There's so many people who are moving countries and everything. And I think it depends on which country you live. Because for me, I feel like if I move to Italy, for example, or maybe Spain, for example, I think I would be... it will be easier for me to make friends, because they're the kind of people, they are very open, they're very outgoing. Yet if you move to a country like Denmark, where people, they're like they will just want to mind their business, they are not I don't know how to say it without being negative. They don't want to be bothered, they have the friends they have, and of course, not all of them are like that, but I also feel like even if you are at work, sometimes it ends up being like just sometimes I have had places where I've been working and I felt like I've gotten close to somebody, but it never went beyond that oh, I love having you like at work. I had this friend, like she was always, until now actually I've not worked with this girl for like many years, but she still remembers my birthday. She still writes to me, and she was very nice, but still we never like went up for coffee. We never did anything like that. It was always like communication, like at work, and oh, I'm so happy you're at work today, oh, I can't wait to be in a shift with you. But it never went beyond that, and I think that's what most foreigners also experience here. But also like I said, a lot of people move, and I think sometimes you lose friends, sometimes you realize like this friendship was not a real friend. Just like people go away from man-wife relationship, those kind of friendship ends also. It gets more lonely for some people, I think after maybe 50 or something, especially I think because when you have your kids around, you have your friends, if you have a good husband, like I feel like my husband is my best friend, and but that's so unhealthy, because then I feel like I have my best friend. I don't feel like I get lonely, like I want to go out and like reach out to find other people, because I have my best friends. I'm waiting, he's coming home and we talk and everything. So if you're in a good relationship, that might make you like be reluctant to making other friends. But if you don't have a spouse and you are alone and your kids have moved, for some people that can really create some loneliness, that can cause some mental problems. So I guess people need to find a way to make some connections, even if they're on online connection. They can be fake, but even online connection, they're okay, because I feel like I have some of my friends I don't even see a lot. I have a friend, very good friend of mine. I would say she's kind of she's one of my best friends. I have known this girl since we were like in primary school, and she moved to Los Angeles, and I call her once maybe every month. But I feel like when I call her, we can talk, and it's always, I think we have to focus on the quality and not the quantity, because when I call her, and sometimes they can go even 3 months because of the difference hours in time, because sometimes she's sleeping and I'm awake, and when and vice versa. So sometimes it's hard for us to get in contact, but when we do, we can talk for an hour and a half, even 2, and it's good quality talk. So I think we need to focus on good quality friendships than a quantity. I think, yes, of course, sometimes I envy people who say like, oh, you see them out with their friends, like 5 friends, and they're doing this and that. Yes, I can envy that, but I don't have it, and I should not have a focusing on getting that, because it's impossible, especially when you're at my age. So I should focus on the good friendships I have. I feel like I have good friends with my husband. I'm good friends with my daughter, and if I find anything funny, boom, I'm calling my daughter and everything. So maybe we should also focus on the friendship, like our partners, our kids, and stop focusing so much on having friends who are like not family. We should use what we have and appreciate what we have, guys. So are you feeling lonely, guys? Have you experienced this whole thing of feeling lonely, or are you just like me, like you really love your own company, but once in a while you get that I don't think even it's loneliness. I feel like, oh, I could go out, have a coffee with somebody, but that it goes away very quickly. It's just in that moment. But have you experienced that, moving and having difficult finding a friend, making friends in your new city and stuff like that, especially if you're coming from Africa to Europe, North Europe especially, or in USA? Like I said, you guys, you have big distances from your cities. Leave in the comment, guys, what do you do to not feel lonely and stuff like that? Do you go to movies by yourself, and do you go do things by yourself, traveling by yourself? Leave a comment, how do you do it, and then all of us can be inspired, guys. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.